Council, the meeting is now called to order. Today is Monday, March 7th, 2022. Can we all please stand for Pledge of Allegiance and prayer? I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would just like for us to bow our heads in a moment of silence. The passing of a former council member, Councilor Linda Treat, who served our city for 12 years. Thank you. We have a quorum. All councilors are present and accounted for. Next on the agenda is comments of council members and special recognitions, resolutions. Do we have any?
Madam President,
Councilor Samora.
I would also like to extend my condolences to Councilor Wells' family on the death of his beloved sister and long-serving Lawrence Common Councilor, Miss Linda Treat, who passed away last week. On a happier note, I'd also like to extend an announcement of a new pilot program entitled Driven to Success, which was sponsored by City County Councilor Lakeisha Jackson in partnership with our own Lawrence Township Trustee Office, that provides for a mini bus service for 4 zip codes in the Marion County area, including 46235, that allows for connection to the Greater Indianapolis Indigo program and to the Purple Line, and that is also in my district, so I'm excited and very supportive of this program. I hope all can take advantage of it who live in those zip codes. If you would like more information about that program, you can find it on the website www.lawtwp.org. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councilors?
Madam President, I have a couple.
Yes, Councilor Freeman.
I would like to acknowledge, I appreciate the acknowledgement that the mayor gave me on the State of the City address. And Councilor President, I would also like to thank you for arranging the council to have a table at the Greater Chamber of Lawrence event. And like Councilor Maria said, we were at attendance at the Pathway Resource Center located in Amberwood Apartments on the far east side, and Councilor Lakeisha Jackson did work on this project for 4 years, and she's very excited about this. I believe the round trip is $4, and the veterans ride free, and you can register for resources at 317-890-9817 or visit www.driventosuccess.information. And on another note, I think the city of Lawrence is having a job fair, but I'm not really sure when it is, and I hope they keep us in mind and inform us on a scheduled date for that. And one of my constituents asked me, when the traffic lights are not working, this is a public safety issue, and the traffic light at 46 and Post was out, and people were flying through there, near misses. The lights were flashing yellow, and I know at flashing lights you're supposed to stop, but they weren't stopping at all. And I don't believe there was anything done probably till after 2 o'clock. It might still be flashing. That's it.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Councilor Giles.
I'd like to thank DPW for the hard work they've been doing and filling up potholes here in Lawrence. Really, really happy to see the work that they did on Shadeland, near the off-ramp near the highway. That really saves a lot of folks' lives. I've seen a lot of accidents. I've seen a lot of bad stuff happen right in there, and I saw our guys out there patching, working hard. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Any other counselors? Counselor Whitfield.
I just wanted to acknowledge the DPW also.
Yeah.
So thank you for their service.
Counselor Wells.
Thank you. I would also like to extend a personal thank you in regard to my sister's passing, who also, as President said, was a council for District 2 for 12 years, and she also served as council president for a while. But I'd like to thank Councilor Maria Musmaroff and Kathy Walton for taking their time to call me and attending Linda's viewing. And I also would like to extend a personal thank you to Mayor Collier and several of his department heads for for attending Linda's viewing and extending their condolences and to pay their respect to Linda. It was certainly a kind gesture, and I promise you it won't be forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other counselors? Okay. Seeing none, next on the agenda is approval of minutes of regular meetings, February 7th and February 16th, 2022. There a motion?
Madam President, I make a motion.
Motion, Counselor Whitfield.
Second.
Second, Counselor Freeman. Any discussion? If not, all in favor by show of hands to approve minutes? Unanimous. Next, we have signing of vouchers, approval of claims, and authorization of payment. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the vouchers.
Motion, Counselor Denny.
Second.
Second, Counselor Freeman. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor by show of hands? Motion carries, unanimous. Next, we have reports of committees. Finance.
Madam Chair, the Finance Committee met tonight, and we have a tremendous amount of items on our agenda. So we've scheduled another follow-on meeting for right before the mid-month meeting at 5:30. We did not discuss tonight proposals number 2, 3, or 4, or resolution number 4. But we did recommend to the full council proposal number 5, which involved appropriating additional funds for the fire department. Proposal number 6, which involves setting aside $1.5 million of the rainy day fund to help cover future retirements of our police and fire. Proposal number 7, which amended the municipal code regarding employee benefits and overtime. And currently, proposal number 8 had quite a bit of discussion with it and is still in the committee, which we'll discuss for its thing at the mid-month meeting.
Okay, great. Committee of the Whole, we did meet immediately following our council meeting to discuss resolution number 1, 2022, and it was recommended well, no, we're going to vote on that tonight. Actually, it was at full council. We were at committee as a whole. So we did have discussion on that, and we will be voting on that this evening. Next, economic development. For economic development, we did discuss the sale of the property, and that is what proposed resolution number 3, I believe. And that was recommended out of committee to be voted on by the full council this evening. Okay. That is all the reports of committees that we have. Next, we have unfinished business, resolution number 1, 2022.
Resolution number 1, 2022, introduced by Councilor Chavis, a resolution to adopt procedures for awarding community service grants from the Common Council of the City of Lawrence, Indiana.
Okay, is there a motion on that?
Madam Chair, I'd make a motion to approve.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Any discussion? So just as a reminder, Resolution number 1, 2022 is the resolution that will allow us to create a committee that will review and set up a process for awarding community service grants. We have done this for many years in the past, but we haven't had a real formalized process. And as we continue to go down this path, I thought that it would be best to put some structure around it. I did speak to the controller about that and several council members, and everyone seemed to think that it was a good idea, so that's what we're doing there. We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Okay, all in favor by show of hands? Motion carries unanimous. Next, we have resolution number 3, 2022.
Resolution number 3, 2022, introduced by Councilor Chevlot, a resolution approving the sale of property owned by the Lawrence Redevelopment Commission.
Okay, so resolution number 3, 2022. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second. Discussion.
Madam Chair, I was wondering if we ever received a site plan for this or any more details.
So if I'm going to ask Mr. Murphy to come forward on this one, we have had several emails go back and forth on this one since we met last. So if you could cover some of that for the full council, that would be great.
I'd be happy to. Thank you for having me. Good evening, councilors. To answer your question directly first, Sean, or Mr. Apologize.
You're fine.
Councilor Denny, we did send plans. Renee Rafala and our Department of Public Works sent plans over to Maria, Councilor Wismore, I'm apologizing. And I believe she distributed those to everybody, or at least has them and has reviewed them herself. But I just wanted to acknowledge that Mr. Giles and I had a good discussion at Economic Development, and as a result of that, I've made sure to make available several members of MetroNet's team to answer any questions you may have. And before we do that, I'd just like to read a prepared statement to kind of give you guys an overview and a history of the parcel so that you guys have a full picture of what's transpired to date and where we're at. So, and I want to acknowledge today, too, that I'm also represented with Dan Zunner, Economic Development Directors here virtually. And then I also have the President of the Redevelopment Commission, David Blunt, in attendance, as well as Ray Rohana and Melissa Swindell, who are two of our members, all here to show their support for this resolution and its passing. So I'd like to start with a brief summary of the parcel in question. The property was formerly owned by AAA Motorcycle, which is a motorcycle repair company. Their building burnt down in 2014 and was acquired by Marion County after their fire, which resulted in loss of the building. The city, through their redevelopment commission, acquired the building through a tax sale and Marion County tax sale in 2015. Over the following years, the redevelopment commission has spent time and money to turn that parcel into something marketable for the city of Lawrence. That includes having the former building demolished, using EPA grant funds to conduct phase 1 and phase 2 environmental assessments to ensure there was no environmental restrictions. And the only environmental restriction on that to date is that there can be no residential development on that site. We've also spent the money to have 2 independent appraisals done to determine the value of that parcel, as well as having it listed for about 18 months at this point on our public website, chooselawrence.com, to try to market it for sale. Following all that work, on December 9th, 2021, the Redevelopment Commission acted to unanimously approve a resolution authorizing the disposal of the property located at 8013 East 46th Street, setting a minimum offering price of $15,000, which is roughly equal to the average market rate value according to our appraisals, plus the cost of the 2 appraisals so that we can recoup that cost. Bids were set to be returned to the Redevelopment Commission by January 13th of this year, 2022. On the 13th, the Redevelopment Commission met and received 1 bid, the bid that was submitted by MetroNet in the amount of $22,000, or $22,500. Upon receipt, the proposal was thoroughly reviewed by the city staff and RDC legal counsel. Following review, staff made a recommendation for approval to the Redevelopment Commission. The commission unanimously approved the bid submitted by MetroNet, and the Redevelopment Commission is now seeking approval of this property disposal from this legislative body in order to finalize the sale of 8013 East 46th Street to MetroNet for their operations. Before I do welcome on our guests to answer any more questions about the specifics of the site, I do just want to point out a couple things for those who aren't familiar with MetroNet and their operations. MetroNet is the largest independently owned 100% fiber optic provider in the United States. They're currently in the process of fully funding a multi-million-dollar construction project in Lawrence to provide residents and businesses with high-speed, reliable internet service through fiber. This is an unprecedented investment in internet services for Lawrence and will create positive ripple effects for our community. Access to a fiber optic network has been shown to increase property values, produce faster internet speeds, increase access and reliability of internet connections, and much more. As a result, Lawrence will become a much more attractive destination for businesses and families alike. The positive economic impact of this partnership with MetroNet will be felt for years and years to come. I'd now like to welcome up our guests from MetroNet to speak a little bit more about what their proposal for that parcel would be and what they would do if you were to approve that sale to them.
So I'm Mark Hill, the market manager for MetroNet. So I think first is just kind of describing what we would use land for. So it's really called our HUD. So if you think about it, it's the brains of the network. So it's kind of the head-end unit. Kevin on our team kind of described it. If you've ever driven by a cell tower, there's that little building at the bottom. That's kind of what this is. So as we build our fiber around the city, that's kind of the brains of the operation. That's where everything kind of leads back into and then leads back down to Evansville, where we're headquartered. So we've got pictures and plans. I don't know if that had been submitted electronically, but we've got, if you want to, I can show what an actual hut would look like. And obviously we can send these electronically so you can take a look at them, but essentially, hopefully you guys can see that. But it's kind of just an operational building where, you know, our techs will go in there and install and provide maintenance if needed, you know, once the network's up and running.
Our storage shed.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's just an example. So they come prefabricated. We bring them on a flatbed and put them in there. Correct. And really, it's not going to create really a lot of traffic. Our techs really only go there once it's installed if there's any maintenance needed and that sort of thing. So, any questions?
So I think it was mentioned that it would be used for storage. So can you speak about that, because that doesn't really represent storage to me?
No, it's not going to be storage. If you would go in, and we could probably provide pictures of the inside. I mean, it's big data cabinets, or I mean,
Yeah.
they look like
Yeah.
big servers, right? So there's no storage. I mean, it's storing the kind of the heart of our network that will power Lawrence, but it's not something that we're going to be storing. No.
Madam Chair, I don't know if it's me, no offense to you, sir, but up until everything we've seen before was that this was a storage shed used to store your equipment needed to install the lines. The last presentation, this is totally not, this is apples and oranges. I was not prepared to hear about it's in my district.
Okay, yeah.
I've drove by there, I've looked at it, I've walked it, I was worried about outside storage and lines and wires but that's what was presented to us, and that's why I asked for you to come. You were misrepresented last time, sir, and I hope that I'm not the only one up here. I mean,
No, for lack of a better term, it's not an eyesore. There will be no visible lines. Everything is inside. I mean, there's coolers on the side. It can't be outside for it.
I'm just saying I wasn't prepared to approve a data hub. I was prepared to hear about a storage facility unit. Now I have questions about environmental issues. Now I have questions about, is it going to be noise? Now I got questions about how does this redevelop our community over there to make that community a better place? And so I also would like to hear from the redevelopment committee to know what were they thinking, because, and I'm sorry, this is a little beyond you.
I understand.
When I think about development and changing a community, I'm sorry, your data hub is not what I pictured to redevelop my neighborhood with land that was owned by the city. No offense. So here's the next question I have for you. Do you have, how far, you said that you have this hub here, and then the data runs to Evansville, where your headquarters.
Mm-hmm.
So does that mean that you don't have to have your data hub in my backyard to still service my city?
No, we still have to have a physical hut in Lawrence, right? We connect through Evansville for existing fiber that we use other companies with, but we have to have a hut in the city to feed the network.
Do you serve other parts of Marion County?
Currently, we do. We're built out in, we call it Northeast Indy. It's just south of 96th Street, and between 96th Street and 86. There's a few neighborhoods we started to build, and then Lawrence is the next step. So
if your hub is in a place up there,
yeah.
how many miles does that hub need to be to, if I'm making, to service an area?
Is there a certain distance? I mean, Northeast Indy is already fed by what we call a cabinet. It's just a smaller version of the hut because it's not as many residential homes as we're going to build in Lawrence. So it's a separate building, but.
You're going to build in Lawrence or put fiber optics in Lawrence? You building homes in Lawrence?
No, sorry.
Oh.
We call it build. I'll stop
Okay,
using our jargon. Yeah. So a home to us is a pass. So we've got much more homes we're going to build our network to in Lawrence than we do in that little Northeast Indy corridor. So that's why we need the hut here physically.
So Lawrence will be your largest footprint in Marion County?
Yes, yep. For now, yep.
Do you have, so where else do you serve? You're the nation's largest independent fiber optics person. So where is your big market at if it's not Marion County?
So we started in 2005 in Greencastle. So you guys probably all know Greencastle. And really between 2005 and 2014, MetroNet really provided rural communities with fiber optic internet.
So I'm not trying to be rude.
No, I'll just give you a
So
quick
here's
history.
what I'm getting at. Slogans and phrases are everything. I create them. How big really are you to be the nation's biggest independent fiber optics person?
So we're in 13 states. We've got markets in places like Lexington, Tallahassee, Fayetteville, Bryan, Texas,
Indianapolis.
Indianapolis.
But it's
right.
just a little part, though.
So we started here in Indiana, but we've expanded to 13 states. I'll tell you, I mean, over almost 300,000 customers nationwide.
And are there other providers that provide fiber optics currently to Lawrence?
No, AT&T would be the only really close provider, but they have not built, or to my knowledge, have plans to build fiber in this community.
So nobody else has plans to build fiber but you?
Right.
And anybody who built fiber would have to have a hut in our city as well?
Any type of telecommunications program, yeah. So I'm assuming Comcast and AT&T have these facilities already on site somewhere.
In Lawrence already currently?
Yep, or nearby.
So we already have the infrastructure's already here to build it. We just need to wait on the nation's international largest person to do it for us. Because the infrastructure's already here.
Well, Comcast and AT&T's infrastructure here is
Yes.
ours is not.
Right, but I want to make sure that if I don't hire you, I'm not leaving the citizens of Lawrence without any options. It sounds like they still have an option, and there's still already some infrastructure here. It's just that maybe you'll move faster, but I don't have to sell the city assets to Comcast to be able to offer high-speed internet to them.
Yeah, I think what really the benefit we bring on the economic development side is just the power of choice. So we're giving residents and business owners a different choice when it comes to providers, and competition helps us all. It's going to help
And you're not going to have anybody stationed at that place, at that hub. You won't have a worker or a worker crew at that hub that'll be spending money in Lawrence on a daily basis. Did you just say nobody's there?
It's an unmanned building, but
Right,
we'll
so-
have our salespeople, our field op technicians who actually install customers when they sign up. We will have a lot of local people that we would look to hire to help us once we're built out, for sure.
Okay. So this question, this is not for you. This question, Madam Chair, would be for our economic development. I would be curious to see what kind of report to how this makes an economic impact on our community. Typical founders are not there. There's no new employees coming. And do you also think, have you also looked at a plan B to look at maybe land that's owned by a private person that might be able to sell it to you? Like, could you still do this? And maybe, I'm sure there's some other parcels of land that's for sale in Lawrence that don't belong to the city, that you might be able to move this forward still?
Yeah, I can't speak to that. I'll say that, and someone on our team can, but I'd say the economic development is more, us providing in new jobs, but we're helping the city attract new business. So when you're talking to businesses that would want to move here, they're not only moving employees here, they're moving families here. So that business who's moving here is going to have access to our network, our fiber optic network, and then all their employees who live here are going to have access to that. So it really it gives you a competitive advantage when you're attracting new residents and new businesses.
And that's what I'd like to hear from economic development. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Any other counselors?
Madam President, if I might, my concern about this property and the sales is I feel as if the council needs to do their due diligence on this property for the development that's occurring. This property is zone C5, which is a heavier commercial type district. And there is a property that is adjacent to the property that you speak of, 8013 East 46th Street, and wish to buy. This, in my opinion, the appearance of this particular use appears more akin to an industrial use. And it seems to me that if we are going to do our proper due diligence here and create a sales situation for a use that may impact an existing business of the beauty shop that's right next door and adjacent to this property, that seems as if that's not appropriate to me, for me, to potentially negatively impact an existing business, especially when this appears to be more of an industrial nature, and when our trades district, a beautiful new industrial park, literally across the street, exists and has some existing properties that could be used, or even I have worked on projects where for cellular towers and other type of businesses such as this, where they've even done leases. There's that opportunity. Now, I understand you would prefer to purchase it. I purchased my own home. I didn't want to rent it. Right. I understand that. But I'm very concerned, not so much in the sale of this property, because I do understand that holding a property and doing the maintenance and the mowing, I understand that. I worked in that. But I'm just concerned that when this is developed, even though as beautiful as it looks here, it seems industrial to me. I'm concerned about the existing property owner that would be adjacent. I'm concerned that there's also other sites available that might be more appropriate. I also, when I look at the site, I see a fence with barbed wire. Is that correct?
In this picture, yeah, and that's just to give an example of what it could look like, but in this example it is. Now, some of them, a lot of the ones we have on the north side of Indy, in Hamilton County, we don't have there's a fence so people can't get in, but this is the first one I've seen with barbed wire.
Well, that's a bit disconcerting. In fact, I don't even think the ordinance would allow for that. And I hate to approve a sale of a property, setting up a business for something that might require additional commission approvals by other folks who may or may not get those. One question I was trying to get to was exactly what kind of business is this? Is it a C5 type business per our zoning code, or is it more akin to an industrial type business? That's where I just don't know where to fall down on that piece, and just looking at it and how it's sited and situated and being adjacent to an existing property owner that's doing more or less a C3 retail type business, I'm very concerned that we are setting not only you up as a business partner, but also the existing business that's there. So all that to say, I have concerns about this sale. And I I do agree with Counselor Giles in that when I hear redevelopment of an area, you think more in terms of how is this overall going to present in the community and how many jobs will it bring, not just can we dispose of a property and who can we get rid of it to.
Absolutely.
That's all I have. I'm sorry. Thank
Oh,
you.
you're fine. Counselor Whitfield.
I would like to ask and reiterate the question that Councilor Giles asked of the economic development, because when we were told, unfortunately, I don't know if we were misled or not, but we were told that this area was going to be used for storage. So I would like to have some clarification, please.
I don't know if, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I can answer. Sorry.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm not exactly sure where that miscommunication took place. I know we were over Zoom last time we spoke in Economic Development Committee, but I believe, and I read verbatim from the proposal that was submitted to me from Metronet, but my understanding at the time and what I thought I conveyed was that this was going to house IT infrastructure for their network here in Lawrence. And that's always been my understanding, and I apologize if that was misconveyed. And then just to touch on the point of economic development, I understand that we're looking at this individual parcel and the aesthetics of it and what that means for economic development, but I think we'd be remiss to not consider the overall economic development impact this will have on our community. Having fiber optic in your community, which we don't currently have, is a really top-tier recruiting tool when we're talking to businesses outside of Lawrence and trying to get them to relocate in areas like our trades district or throughout Lawrence. I can't believe, it's the reliability and the speed of fiber is far and away better than what AT&T and Xfinity can provide. That's why we're so excited about having Metronet in our community, and not to mention the direct impact to the household, because there are numbers of studies that show the immediate impact on household values once there's fiber optic on site. So I think this impacts Lawrence at a far bigger level than just this parcel. And I'll also remind everybody that, like I mentioned in my opening statement, we've been actively listing this parcel for years now. Most recently, we've put it on our website and actively marketed it for over a year, and we haven't had any bites on it other than Metronet expressing interest. We did conduct a sale of the property, a public disposal process, 30 days. We received one bid. It was publicly advertised in the Indy Star. It was published on our website as well as our Choose Lawrence site. So we've been actively trying to find a buyer for this, and we identified Metronet as a perfect candidate. And so we don't think of this as a disposal. We think of this as an ideal match and a partnership that's going to allow Lawrence and our economic development team to thrive going forward. So I see this as a massive success for the city.
Okay, I think Counselor Wells had a question.
Just had a follow-up question.
You have a follow-up question. Go ahead. You have Counselor Whitfield has the floor, then Counselor Wells, then Counselor Giles.
Thank you. I just want to ask you or Metronet the longevity of being on this property.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this would be here for the foreseeable future. So this is the structure that feeds the network. So, you know, when this structure goes in place, and it's here long after we're done building out the network. It's running our fiber throughout the city. It would be a permanent structure.
Yes, Madam President. I just live down the street from this site, just a few blocks, so I'm real familiar with, you know, the motorcycle shop in the area, and that lot is really small, if I remember correctly, because that building that burnt down, it was a building that was built in the very original part of Lawrence, probably built right at the turn of the century, I would think. So I totally understand what city is saying. You know, it would be a hard sell of a property because I think it's narrow but deep, the property is, I think. And, but your picture just shows this little outbuilding that looks, and you mentioned a cell tower. So,
right,
but there's not going to be a cell tower.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just trying to give you an example of what. Yeah.
Right, and I'm familiar with them because I've worked on air conditioners in these type of buildings before. My question is, and maybe that's in the site plan, is there going to be a large diesel generator to provide backup power to this in case there's a power failure?
Right, there's backup. Yeah. Yep.
So will this generator be, because most backup generators, they have to operate like maybe once a week or at least so periodic to make sure that they'll run, when they're needed. So I guess my concern is, here again to the neighbor next door, are they going to hear this generator during their operating hours, or is it possible that this generator could be, the testing done on it of an evening or after hours of this company next door, so we're not bothering them?
Right. Comment on the noise?
Good evening. My name is Kevin Bates. I'm one of the project directors here for Metro. To answer your question, yes, diesel generators do have to be maintained and checked routinely. The company I worked for previously, another telecom, might be one of the largest ones in the nation, we tested them about every 30 days, and that took typically 10 to 15 minutes. So it's a very short time to test them, make sure they're functional and everything's working properly, and then we go back to commercial power. Okay, so the disruption to the local neighborhoods or to an adjoining business would be very limited. Okay, very short time. They probably wouldn't think about it truly for that short a time. Plus the distance from that generator to other businesses would give you enough airspace that a lot of that noise would be dissipated off anyway.
So, but would it be possible that the commitment could be made, that it could be done on a weekend, after hours, just because if it is a problem, I'll be the guy that hears about it.
Sure, I understand.
And because I'm hearing about it, other things that have passed, in my district. But my next question, real quickly, I would understand that there's going to be some kind of cabling that would probably go into 46th Street that's going to be routed into this building. Would that be correct? And this cabling would go like a spider and go in all kind of different directions, or?
No. So there is underground cabling that's required. Nothing in the air in that area. It's all underground for purposes of protecting the cable and a lot of other reasons. The cable stays underground and comes up into the hut, so that you
Right.
cannot see anything above ground there. It follows just like AT&T or Comcast. It follows a very direct path. It's an engineered path to minimize the distance. I think it was you, sir, that asked about distance. So we do have distance parameters that we have to meet to make sure that that fiber network is solid and that it continues to run at optimal speeds and connectivity. So all of that's hidden underground. It's not like a spider web, although if you looked at one of our blueprints or looked at an AT&T blueprint or Comcast, you would think it is, but it really isn't. There's a science to the madness.
And my reasoning for asking that is my concern is the disruption of the streets to the neighborhood while this cabling is being done. How many streets are we talking about in this neighborhood, or will it go directly to Franklin Road and then go north and south, or?
It would go straight out to Franklin Road and go north and south, and we would distribute it from there. And anything that we would do that would disrupt, if we have a disruption of asphalt or we have a disruption if it, any kind of problems, we are going to take care of that. Okay. Metronet stands behind its promise to make sure those things are cared for, not next week, not 6 months or a year from now, but actually in a week. Stated that. It's not 6 months from now or a year from now. It'll be fixed as quickly as we could possibly fix it, depending on what the issue is.
One last question. Is there a reason for this particular site, like a proximity reason, or is it just because it was a cheap piece of property?
No, there's a reason for it. It does put the hut kind of in the center, essentially, of what we're trying to build. So if you think of it as Mark said, as the heart, it's the center, and it pumps out data to all of its veins, which are all of the neighborhoods that we are going to be passing and going through.
Good. I'm sorry. That leads right into my question. Go ahead, Chris.
Councilors, I just wanted to clarify something on the record. I'm looking at the zoning ordinance for Indianapolis, and all of the permitted uses. as many of you know, in addition to government services, I do a lot of utility work. MetroNet is a public utility in the state of Indiana. Utilities are permitted uses in the C3 district, all C districts. And somebody else could build an electric substation or a wireless tower. So from a legal perspective, I just want to make sure we're treating everybody fairly and everybody the same, that is the same type of business. It may not be what you personally would put there if you were making the zoning decision, but the zoning is what it is. And if it is something that is permitted, everyone in that type of business should be permitted to use it, or we're asking for trouble, in my opinion.
Well, let me ask you this question then. But the property belongs to the RDC, right?
I thought it was, yeah.
Okay. So look, you correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sorry, guys. But my thought process here, and it's no offense to MetroNet, but right next door to the building, Rick, and you can kind of lead into this, is it almost looks like a saloon to me. The building right next door, it's not, right next door to the open lot is a building right next door to it.
Yeah, Mr. Zerner said he didn't know what that was. I remember him saying it was.
Nothing being done in the building.
He's saying it was suspect, is what he said.
So what I'm saying is, to me, that's a good thing for redevelopment. That there's an opportunity to take this deep parcel, thin, looks like a parking lot to me. Okay? And then right next to that building, and then we're going to put all this investment across the way. It's not about it being zoned right. It's about, do we, as a city, we have an asset in our redevelopment commission, in my thought process, it's like, do we have an opportunity to do something grand, or do we just, hey, it's not in the city's best interest to own property. We found somebody to buy it. Let's sell it and be done with it. But if the city doesn't have assets, there's no opportunity for us to truly redevelop. It's like a community development corp, right? You got to get the properties and then set a plan for it. So for me, I looked at Franklin Road in this community, and when you talk to our constituents, our constituents want redevelopment on Franklin Road. Oh, that property is one block east of Franklin Road. And then we also just sold so many, correct me, the corner where the grocery store is, at the corner of Franklin and Pendleton Pike, that is proposed to be redeveloped for a fast food restaurant of some sort. So I'm looking at this as, man, you got right up here, you got this going in, you got 5, 6 houses right there, and then you got the Swift problem. I'm talking about on Franklin.
And I apologize to interject. I know you're not finished yet, and I'll let you finish.
No, it's fine.
I think a point of clarification, I believe you're mistaking the property we're discussing. I believe you're referring to a property on the north side of 46th Street, 8022, which is a paved lot.
That's grass.
With a little bit of an outbuilding next to it, and then some residential homes on the other side. This is a small little grass lot with an operated business to the west called Swift Air. They're operational, and then to the east is
to the east.
It's a C3 zone. Councilor Morov alluded to it earlier. There's multiple businesses that operate out of there. One of them is a hair salon, and then adjacent to that parcel is an operational auto body shop.
Building. So I'm talking about the hair salon building. I didn't realize something was in it.
So there's operational businesses in there that are conducting business on a daily basis. One of the main floor is a hair salon, and then directly east of that is an additional business. It's an auto body shop that's in operation. If you drive by there, they're open every day. And after our meeting last week, I believe, I went to check that out to confirm what that was going on, because we weren't clear what was going on there. And there's at least 2 operational businesses there. I wasn't able to make out the second, but there's an operational salon. They had one of those barbershop wheels operation. They had an open sign in the window, so they are operational and working. So I would hate to lose that opportunity. I also think
I don't know what that has to do with what I was talking about, though.
Well, you were talking about taking down multiple pieces of land to.
I'm saying there's an operational business in the building. It's so operational that our economic development coordinator didn't even know that it was something in it. I drove by it. I didn't see anything hardly in it. That building right there, right?
Correct.
Okay, then across the street, there's some open kind of stuff. I'm just getting at that we have I look at it as we have an opportunity to improve our community and to make it newer, fresher, better. Okay, now the next question I have for you with your building, with your services, will you be providing services to every home in Lawrence?
We have plans currently to build to almost 20,000 homes. The only thing that precludes us from building to a home is if it's on private property. So if they have like, if sometimes an HOA will own the streets. So we have a franchise agreement to be in the right-of-way or the utility easements.
So will you offer this in Brookhaven? At 46th in Shadeland, will you be offering this?
We'd have to look at.
Will you be offering this
look at
south of Pendleton Pike?
Yeah, I can't speak exactly to the neighborhoods that it'll be offered in. I did forward to Councilor Rusamorov a link to a website, both on their website as well as on our city website. You can see what's currently active in construction and coming.
But here's what's frustrating to me.
Yep.
But the building is sitting in the same neighborhood that I'm asking you, are you going to serve? And then you told me that the building was in the heart of our city, and it's not.
Allow me to answer if I could. So Lawrence, the way we've got it plotted out right now is 3 phases. Phase 1 is Franklin Road out to the county line north of Pendleton Pike. Phase 2 is south of 36 in that same edges, right? Franklin Road, Pendleton Pike. Phase 3 is to build into the west side of 465. Which would encompass Brookhaven. And
I want to be first.
And I wasn't familiar with the name of the community. I've worked in this area for 33 years.
Well, the frustrating part is that the building or the infrastructure, what's frustrating to me is that the blue-collar infrastructure, and in many cases, is in the old part of the city, and then we're the last part of the city to get the benefits, if we even ever get them, for these deals. And so I'm trying to, when you talk about property value, making the neighborhood more enticing, making young families to come to this part of the city. We have beautiful, affordable 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom houses in that area. And so my thought is, how do we beautify the neighborhood? How do we make this area more competitive for families and stuff like that? And so I'm concerned that we're selling off some of our assets, and I'm being told that they're going to redevelop the area, and people slap paint on it and call it a day. So unfortunately, sir, I'm just a little critical because I was told that a property on 46th and Shadeland, the old police station, was going to maintenance was going to be done really nice and make our area look nice, and it's just been spray painted black, and the garage doors have been replaced. So unfortunately, I'm just skeptical. I just want to make sure that every citizen in Lawrence in District 1, District 2, and District 3 get the things that they deserve and not be pushed back on the priority list.
So I do have one question. So MetroNet started, installing the infrastructure in the city of Lawrence when?
Start about 2 months ago. Yeah, about January,
Okay.
mid-January we started.
And were you in the township before then? So 86, between 86 and 96th Street, you said you?
Yeah, we built a few neighborhoods in what we call Northeast Indy, that area up there.
Yeah, so up around Community North Hospital.
Okay.
Built out around that area quite extensively, actually.
So my question is, you had contracted to start this work in our city months and months and months before you made an offer on this parcel of land, right? So you had a way, I'm thinking, you had a plan, right? Because you wouldn't have signed a contract to lay fiber in our city without understanding where your hub was going to be. So what was that plan?
I wish I could tell you, ma'am. I'm actually fairly new to the company. I retired from another company and just joined this team in January. So I don't know what happened prior to that and what those build-out plans look like. I know this is actually the second site that we have entertained as a company, and I don't know what happened to the first one, and this became the second site. The other one was just up 36, a little closer to the middle of town, and then this site became available, or it was located on the website or somehow. The corporation found it and decided it was an optimal place to put our hut.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you for that answer. And I'm asking that because it almost seems as though, even though, we've been told that there's no partnership or relationship between the city of Lawrence and MetroNet, that MetroNet is just a fiber optic provider that wants to invest in our city, and that's what they're doing. I want to make sure, because sometimes it makes it seem as though, the council's support or lack thereof of what we're doing, that the deal is hinged upon our decision. And I wanted to make it clear that it's not, because MetroNet was coming here. It takes years, months to negotiate those types of contracts. You were coming here prior to this parcel even being in play. So I just wanted to make sure that that was clear to everyone. We're making the decision to either sell or not sell this property based on whether or not we feel that it's something that we support for that area. I did support or vote for this to be recommended out of full council. But I do have the same concerns, many of the same concerns that Councilor Giles has in terms of, we are investing in every part of our city. We're redeveloping everywhere. And we have an opportunity to redevelop in a district that doesn't get a lot of that. I mean, we're building a new fire station up the street, and we're doing a trades district. But there's an opportunity, and I think it's our responsibility to make sure that we represent the best interest of all of our citizens, not just some. So that's the concern, and the only concern that I really have is that, we're not just making a decision for that area without any consideration to the people that actually live in that community. Any other counselors?
Madam President, if I may. And here again, like I said earlier, I'm not only a councilman for not the district per se, because I think that's Councilor Giles's district. Mine's directly across the street. But I am a neighbor. I mean, I'm like 4 or 5 blocks to the east of this property. Grew up in this area. I'm very, very, very familiar with it. And when the motorcycle shop caught fire and then it turned into a vacant lot, I would have believed that one of the neighboring businesses would have bought that property to expand their business. That's what I would have believed, but it's been some time and it hadn't happened. So if it hadn't happened by now, it probably isn't going to. Since the motorcycle shop is burnt down, the bar across the street is now, I believe, empty, went out of business. The building to the east of that used to be a pool hall. It is empty. I think it may have been purchased by the bar. I think it was. I think the bar and that building are now both vacant buildings. The area is getting run down, and we're getting more empty buildings and more empty lots. And I would like to see some retail shop go in there where we can walk in and buy something or whatever, but someone coming in and utilizing that property for something that may end up benefiting the people in the area, I think is a plus. So it is an obscure lot. I mean, I know that from the fact that, it was an old building, an old site, very narrow. So very limited as to what that property could be used for. So, I mean, if you guys have a use for it, I'm just not sure, maybe it's not the most ideal thing, but I'm not sure that it's the worst thing either. But anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Councilor Freeman has the floor, and she has the last word, unless Counselor Chevlot or Counselor Russell have anything, since they're the only two that haven't weighed in, and Counselor Denny. I want to make sure everybody gets the opportunity. So Counselor Freeman, you have the floor.
Okay, I remember you speaking that the backup generator was diesel and it's not gas.
I believe that's correct. It is diesel, yes.
So it's diesel. So that's a little bit louder. Out of curiosity, I don't want to put you on the spot. How competitive are your prices with AT&T and Infinity?
Right. Well, I'm a little biased, obviously, but very. So, the power that MetroNet has, the benefit we have is we're new. So we're doing work and laying infrastructure that hasn't been done in a lot of these cities for many decades. So we're providing the newest technology, 100% fiber optic. So basically the speed of light from this hut all the way to your house. So you get a direct line of service that's literally the fastest form of internet that you can get today. So that's really the benefit of MetroNet. But yes, if you look at our website, our pricing and promotions are very competitive, as they have to be with competitors like Xfinity and AT&T.
So with you coming into the city of Lawrence, and you're going to the households saying, okay, like Infinity is running a special for $29.99 for a year. So would your prices be competitive?
Yeah,
like
I mean, we
that,
have new customer promotions. I mean, we try to sell and really show the value of the everyday price. Really, we try to show that what you're getting based on that price is valuable. So we do have new customer promotions that are very comparable to what AT&T and Comcast offer to the residents of Lawrence today. And that everyday price after the promotion ends is still very competitive as well.
So I know some places coming into other cities, they like to give us the low price and then boom, we're up to $60 paying.
Oh yeah, and we have a 2-year. We don't have contracts, but we do have a 2-year price commitment on most of our packages. So when you sign up, that price is not going to change unless you make any changes for 2 years. Because those promotions and games like that is a slippery slope, and we're doing this investment because we're going to be here for the long haul. It's not a fly-by-night. So if our first step into Lawrence is misleading customers on pricing, then we're not going to have the success that we think we have. So we really tread on our value and our everyday prices for sure.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Counselor Russell, anything from you?
Thank you, but thank you for asking.
Counselor Chevlot?
No, ma'am.
No, I don't have
Counselor
any
Denny?
questions. I think mine were.
Address.
I do have one now, since you brought up pricing. So AT&T does offer special pricing to folks that qualify within a certain income range. Is that something MetroNet does as well, particularly?
Well, I know the name changed, but the EBB, I mean, we're a part of that. So we're with the government funded portion. We do that. So outside of that, no, we don't have economic packages, but we do participate in that program.
You don't have economic, okay, so they would.
So that's where they
qualify
get
for
like a rebate,
rebates.
basically. We get a rebate for providing internet services.
Okay,
So, yeah.
thank you. That was my only question.
Okay.
And that was along the lines of what I was getting at. And just one follow-up: the percentage of your customers, is it commercial to residential?
Oh, heavier on residential. We sell to businesses and schools. We provide services to, school corporations. We'll provide services to a health network, big developments. The majority of our customer base is single-family homes.
Okay, so they got to be competitive. They're going to try to get single-family homes. That's what I was going to.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, MetroNet.
Yes, thank you.
And Mr. Murphy for coming forward. Thank you. Okay, so I don't even know what resolution we're on. So resolution number 3, 2022. Anyone want to make a motion?
You have the first and
Oh, we got a first and second. Okay, discussion is over. So all in favor by show of hands? All in favor by show of hands? Opposed? Motion carries 8-1. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Have a good evening. You can feel free to leave if you like. This is probably going to be a long meeting. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Next, we have proposal number 2, 2022.
This is the one.
I don't know if you want to read it, but, well, we can read both of those because 2 and 3 are going to be tied together for me.
Okay, so proposal number 2, 2022, and proposal number 3, 2022. Clerk, can you read both of those by title?
Proposal number 2, 2022, introduced by Councilor Chevlot, a proposal for an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Lawrence, Indiana, amending the 2022 Civil Salary Ordinance. Excuse me. Proposal number 3, 2022, introduced by Councilor Chevlot, a proposal for an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Lawrence, Indiana, amending the 2022 Salary Ordinance for appointed officers and employees of the Police Department and the Fire Department.
Madam President, I'm going to pull those two. Been in correspondence with the administration's attorney as well as our council attorney on some language back and forth. It appears that there's other things that are going to be taken care of in this, so I'm going to go ahead and pull proposal number 2 and proposal number 3.
Okay. Proposal number 2 and number 3 have been pulled or withdrawn.
Withdrawn.
Yes, sorry.
Next, we have proposal number 4, 2022.
Proposal number 4, 2022, introduced by Councilor Chevlot, a proposal for an ordinance to appropriate from the ARP Coronavirus Local Physical Recovery Fund for purposes that fulfill the intent of the American Rescue Plan Act.
Okay, that's still in finance. We did not get the opportunity to discuss that this evening, so it will be discussed at the next meeting. Resolution number 4, 2022.
Resolution number 4, 2022, introduced by Councilor Chevlot, a resolution to adopt a spending plan detailing the use of funding provided under the American Rescue Plan.
That's still in finance as well. Proposal number 5, 2022.
Proposal number 5, 2022, introduced by Councilor Russell, a proposal for an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Lawrence, Indiana, appropriating additional funds and amending the 2022 budget with respect to the general fund.
That remains in finance as well.
It was recommended out of finance 4-0.
Right. Recommended out of finance 4-0, so is there a motion?
There has to be a public hearing, right?
Yeah.
It's a salary? Okay. So we will have a public hearing on that. Is the controller still here?
He is not, but we
Oh,
just.
there he is, there he is.
Okay.
So we need to discuss we got enough to notice.
I think,
It has to be 7 days.
Let's just do the first meeting in April. Yeah. So the public hearing will be noticed on that tentatively for April 4th.
Scared me.
Next, we have proposal number 6, 2022.
Proposal number 6, 2022, introduced by Councilor Denny, a proposal for an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Lawrence, Indiana, amending proposal number 16, 2021, regarding the rainy day fund transfer.
that was also recommended out of finance 4-0.
We got a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve proposal number 6 unless that is also requires a public hearing.
No. Does it?
It's a new appropriation. The rainy day?
I think we should. There's like 3 opinions on it. I think we should.
It's 15 days.
Right.
My view is on that is it's still an appropriation, which would need a public hearing.
Yep.
That's my opinion. Okay.
So that one will be
On the 4th.
April 4th as well. Thank you. Next, we have proposal number 7, 2022.
Proposal number 7, 2022, introduced by Councilor Chavis, a proposal for an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Lawrence, Indiana, amending the municipal code of the City of Lawrence, Indiana regarding employee benefits and overtime.
Madam Chair, that was also recommended out of finance.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve proposal number 7 we had recommended out of the committee amended version. There was a small correction on one of the tables. It says category B, the original said consists of all firefighters, full-time EMTs and paramedics, and it should have just read consists of all firefighters. So the amendment was to scratch the other 5 words.
And then the column C was adjusted, shifted up. That was the first change.
Oh, thank you.
We discussed that change.
That's why you have an attorney next to you when you're doing these things.
So basically, the chart was corrected on the second.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a motion to approve the amended version? Okay.
I'll second.
Yeah. Yeah, we made the amendment in the committee.
Yeah, but we have to do it here.
We have to do it here, okay. Yes. So I made the motion to amend.
Okay,
I'll second that.
okay. Motion, Counselor Denning. I think I got the second on Counselor Russell first. Okay. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor by show of hands? Great. Now a motion to approve the amended version.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the amended version of Proposal 7.
Okay, got a motion.
I'll second that, please.
Second, Counselor Rusamoroff. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor by show of hands? Motion carries unanimous. Next, we have proposal number 8, 2022.
Proposal number 8, 2022, introduced by Counselor Chavis. Proposal for an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Lawrence, Indiana, amending the ordinance fixing salaries of appointed officers and employees of the Police Department and the Fire Department for the year 2022.
That remains in finance. New business, resolution number 7, 2022.
Resolution number 7, 2022, introduced by Counselor Russell, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Lawrence, Indiana, approving the issuance of bonds of the City of Lawrence Redevelopment District.
Okay, that's going to be assigned to finance. Next, we have proposal number 9, 2022.
Proposal number 9, 2022, introduced by Counselor Russell, a proposal for an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Lawrence, Indiana, amending Section 1-2-4-14 of the Lawrence Municipal Code, severe weather condition procedures.
Madam President, I'd like to entertain a motion that we suspend, given,
Yeah,
and the rules to vote on this because of the urgency of it.
yes.
I'll second.
Motion, second. Any discussion? Okay, we need a unanimous vote to suspend the rules. All in favor by show of hands? Motion to suspend carries. Now a motion to approve proposal number 9, 2022.
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Counselor Russell.
I'll second.
Second, Counselor Rusamoroff. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor by show of hands? Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. Thank you for that. One less thing on our agenda. Okay, before we get to comments of the administration, can someone please bring me, I'm pretty sure we got a pretty lengthy sign-up sheet. And I'm going to take a very wild guess that a lot of you are here to speak on behalf of the sewer proposal, which will go on the April agenda. As you can see, we have various items in our Finance Committee, many of which we couldn't get to in our committee meeting tonight. So that will go on the April agenda for consideration at that time. Mr. Mayor, you have the floor.
I will be very quick, President Chavis. First of all, I wanted to acknowledge both Sharon. Sharon, it was a pleasure for me to be able to honor you in the way I did at the State of the City. As I said earlier, there's no better example of what a true counselor should be, as someone who loves this city and shows it very clearly. Councilor Wells, I had the opportunity to work with your sister for 4 years on the council, and I can tell you that when the four of us were able to get there, it was certainly very reflective of her contribution to the city and there were people who were there visiting her. So I got to tell you that was certainly my honor to do that. Lastly, I want to introduce somebody today. It's my pleasure to introduce, for the first time in his role with the city, new role of the city, my new Chief of Staff, Dave Hoffman.
Good evening, everybody. I will be brief as well. I know people are been here for a while. Just wanted to reintroduce myself to you all. I've known most of you for more than 6 years now, and some of you now just for a couple years. It has been an honor and a privilege to serve as your Chief of Police for arguably one of the best police departments I've ever been associated with. It was a great 6 years. I would also like to make another introduction of somebody who's here virtually. Gary Woodruff is your new Chief of Police, and obviously you'll be seeing a lot of him around. He's been with the Lawrence Police Department now for 22 years, serving most recently as Deputy Chief for the past 6, and he has been a police officer in the state of Indiana for 37 years. So a great transition, seamless transition for your police department, which I know you all care very deeply about. I do look forward to serving as the Chief of Staff for this administration. My contact information, email, phone number, all that is remaining the same, and I just want to encourage great communication between you and I as we move forward, working, as I work for and with you all for these people in front of you and behind me and all over the city of Lawrence. So I just wanted to say that, and then I'll close with Councilor Freeman. The traffic light at 46th and Post is functional.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Hoffman.
Yes, ma'am.
I have to pause and think about that before I said it. So, as a council, we'd like to thank you for your service.
Thank you so
as,
much.
Chief of this wonderful city, and we hadn't had an opportunity to do that. I think it's the first time we've seen you in front of the council since you retired.
Yes, ma'am.
So thank you so much for your service.
Oh, thank you.
Almost didn't recognize you in your suit and tie.
Okay, now we have citizens' comments. So I'm just going to read this really quickly, just in case you've never come up and speak before the council. These are sort of the ground rules. At any regular session of the council, the presiding officer may allow time for comments by citizens of the city of Lawrence. Citizens' comments shall be limited to 5 minutes each unless extended by the presiding officer. Any person desiring to address the council must state his or her name and address for the record. Citizens' comments shall be made in an orderly and civil manner. The presiding officer may, in all respects, limit comments that are repetitive, uncivil, rude, discourteous, or insulting. So first on our list is Mr. Robert Schleifer. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Madam President. Robert Schleifer, 10423 Rainbow Lane. Thanks for the opportunity to speak this evening. Thanks for those in attendance that are impacted by the Lawrence Stormwater Master Plan. Councilors, you're elected by constituents, and each of you, as elected officials, took an oath to represent us, your constituents. The stormwater bond resolution that was on tonight's agenda for a public health and safety issue would have taken about a minute to read. Okay? But the resolution that was originally on the agenda that would only taken about a minute to read was removed last Monday. In 2020, this council used our pain for your gain to withdraw from the Indianapolis Stormwater District. You have the funding to begin stormwater work, but as of today, A year and a half later, the resolution was pulled from tonight's agenda. When it comes to representing us, your constituents, you once again have left us underwater. The resolution that was pulled from tonight's agenda addresses the concerns that councilors have voiced in public with respect to clear priorities, reduced labors and materials, reduced costs, is fully funded by stormwater assessments, and would have no increase to taxpayers. The resolution is a pared-down version of the November 21 resolution that passed Finance Committee and was voted down by this council. You're very familiar with all those projects. Yet the resolution was pulled from tonight's agenda. Well, here's the good news. Roughly 2 weeks ago, in Common Council, a financial resolution was added hours before the meeting, hardly with enough time for councilors to read the pre-work. And this council passed the resolution on first reading in a matter of 20 minutes. You've proven you have the means to get work done. On the council meeting scheduled for April 4th, your constituents, the ones that you swore an oath to represent, demand that you pass the stormwater bond resolution on the first reading and begin the work on this public health and safety issue related to these projects and get Lawrence on the road to progress. Thank you.
Thank you. Point of clarity. The stormwater matter was never on the agenda. I didn't add it, so it was not pulled. So I just want to make that point of clarification for the record. So thank you.
Yep. May I speak?
No, that's, yeah, it wasn't pulled. It was never on the agenda. Next, we have Maura, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Houston.
Laura Houston, 10116.
It's a fancy L.
Thank you very much for your time and for the opportunity to address council this evening. To date, council has not approved funding for the top priority stormwater project in Lawrence, and no information has presented to warrant any further delay. The hardworking members of our community want to raise their children in a safe environment, and the current stormwater situation does not allow for that. You were elected to represent us, and we respectfully request that you immediately fund the work to address the stormwater-related public health and safety issues. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. I'm not sure about the pronunciation of the last name, so I don't want to mess it up, but Colleen? And if you can just come forward and state your name for the record, please.
First time, trust me. Thank you for letting me speak. I'm Colleen Blumker, 7460 Rainbow Lane North. And again, it's just, again, regarding the stormwater situation. I was probably this close this morning to not getting out of my driveway. It was almost over the driveway. So it comes within probably 2 feet of our house every time it rains. So I'm just, I'm kind of tired of having to go to bed every night praying that it won't rain. And I understand none of us can do anything about that, but we can do something about fixing the drainage issue and making everything safe. So we would appreciate that. Again, to add the sentiment at the next meeting, if it could get passed. We would very much appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Jason Schleifer.
Jason Schleifer. I reside at 10339 Colville Lane. I own a property at 7440 Rainbow Lane. I just wanted to say tonight that reiterate some of the things that have been said before, but to the point of in 2020 when we pulled out, we had support from constituents that said that we support making our own decisions here. And at that time, this project for Rainbow Lane was slated for 2022. I've been told by multiple counselors that this is going to take 2 years to get done, that it's going to take 2024. And my question is why? I don't understand why this is going to take 2 years. And is it 2 years from when I was told last month in February? Or is it going to be 2 years in November when it's another election cycle? Because I see a lot of this going down party lines, and that's not acceptable to us as the constituents. So again, next month, let's make this happen. Let's get this done. Drive around anytime you want, you'll see standing water. If you go down 75th Street, I was just down there today while it was raining. The neighborhood just to the east of that, no water at all. They have the exact same drainage system that's proposed for our neighborhood. It is a beehive situation. If you look at all the rainwater that comes off of the last person who just spoke here, she has easily at least half of her yard is underwater right now. If you go there from the front yard to the backyard, I own the property right next to her. If I build, then I impact her even more. I don't want to be that guy. All right, so let's get this done. Let's move along and let's get the stormwater fixed. Thank you.
Stacy? And I'm going to let you pronounce your name when you come forward as well.
My name is Stacy Antrobus. I live at 10345 Rainbow Lane.
Can you spell your last name for us?
Sure. It's Antrobus.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. I just basically want to say that my yard was also underwater today, and it is every time that it rains. It's like a pond. Ducks come. And also I've been there, we've been living here 15 years, and it's a good community, and I have 2 daughters, and we're friends with other children in the neighborhood, and I care about their quality of life, and if this could be fixed, it would definitely be a better quality of life for my family and my neighbors that I care about. And I have one neighbor that spent 4 hours today trying to clean up the water out of his basement, and that could have been 4 hours working and doing something more productive. And I have another neighbor that spent hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on trying to prevent having water in their basement. And I just want you to know that I care about this, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have some pictures of the flooding if anybody's interested in looking at those.
We will certainly take, are you going to be here after we adjourn? That we can give it back to you? Or do you want us to just keep it?
Are there multiple copies or? Like one for everybody?
No,
Let's just give them
it's
one each.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for taking the time to look at them and to listen to us.
Thank you. John Holner? Okay, that's why I'm just going to start saying first names.
Where's my yard?
So first of all, thank you guys for listening to all our complaints here. I don't envy you and your jobs because it looks like a real headache, to tell you the truth. Having said that, I am one of the complainers here tonight. Would love to see the stormwater project get completed, and just want to point out, I mean, you've got a lot of people here, and where there's smoke, there's fire. They wouldn't be here if it wasn't a real issue. So appreciate your time, and hope you'll consider getting this project done for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Sandy?
Looks like
Yep, Schleifer.
Good evening. My name is Sandy Schleifer. I live at 10423 Rainbow Lane. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. On behalf of the residents that live in this city of Lawrence and who are affected by this issue that brings so many of us here tonight, I want to thank the following counselors: Councilor Russell, Councilor Shevlot, Councilor Chavis, Councilor, and excuse me if I pronounce this, Ruzamorov. Okay. Thank you for your past support of the stormwater bond, and I look forward to your continued support when this issue comes before you again. Councilor Giles, Councilor Denny, Councilor Whitfield, Councilor Freeman, and Councilor Wells, I'm deeply disappointed that you voted against the stormwater resolution this past November. This should be a top priority for the public health and safety of your constituents here in the city of Lawrence. I'm at a loss as to why anyone would be opposed to this fully funded issue. I feel, along with probably most of my neighbors here, as we are owed an answer as to why you voted no. I personally will be waiting after the meeting, and I would love to hear why. Again, I thank you for your time, and I know this is not easy, so again, thank you.
I think I skipped the John Hilden. Oh, okay, he already did.
Oh, he already spoke.
Thank you, John. And last is Ray. Last name is Rohana, maybe?
Left.
Oh, he left? Okay. He left for the evening. Okay. Thank you so much for taking the time to come and share your comments. We are adjourned.